Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Brent McGrath, and I'm the host of Talks and Discussions, What Matters and What Doesn't Matter. And today we have one of the most special guests I think that I've ever had on my show, this year anyway. He's a relationship builder and a world-class leader. Mario Torres, how are you doing today?
Hey, man. It's awesome to be here. Looking forward to sharing some value with you and your audience.
Hey, I'm looking forward to knowing a little bit more about you and your background. So can you please give the audience a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go long and short at the same time because I think it's important. I'm going to go back to when I was 18 and I was a lost kid without knowing what I wanted to do with my life. I was just studying accounting and I was looking at my life 20, 30 years down the line, like, do I really want the life of this guy? Because my dad has an accountant friend and he was always super stressed. He had a lot of work and he was dealing with a lot of clients and he was doing good financially. He was making decent money, but you could tell that he did not enjoy his life, right? So then having this, spending time with him because of my dad woke me up to the fact that, yeah, I don't want to have that life. So then it's like, okay, then what do you want? And I went to New Zealand for a couple of months. I lived there and worked there for a couple of months trying to find myself. And I delve into some of the teachings of this new age thinking. Now I think some of it's not true, but it has some truths in it, that you can take. And what it did is expanded my mind to, okay, you really can do and you can be anything that you want, because you hear that all the time, right? And people pay
Yeah.
lip service to that. But when you truly believe that's like, holy shit, I can be anything I want and I can do anything I want. What am I going to do with all this massive potential that all of us have as human beings, right? When I had that realization of like, wow, there are 1,000 possibilities you can take, that really expanded my mind. I like, what do you really want? So back in Guadalajara, I think that's where you're at right now, man. That was my home base, where my family is. I took a trip to a house in the mountains owned by one of my friends, and I was there for like 3 days, just thinking, what do I really want? What am I here to do? What would truly make me fulfilled and happy? And just asking myself this deep question, And I think that's big learning, big takeaway number one for me is like realizing you have this massive potential, and then looking at yourself and taking this time to ask yourself these deep questions and finding what you really want from life. And it doesn't matter if you're already, 40 years down the line, 50 years down the line, 30 years down the line, you can always take a hard stop and change direction, right? So I would say that's takeaway number one from me. And anyway, I decided that what I wanted to do was to have the biggest impact I could in as many lives as possible. And that was like what would really fill me up, to know that I'm impacting lives. And that differs from other people, Maybe what you want the most is to really enjoy life and savor every moment. And it varies, For me, it was impact. And then I asked myself, so how can I have the biggest impact possible? And like right now, what rules the world is money, right? If you want to change people's lives, money is a great vehicle to do it. You can invest in rural areas, develop them, etc. I'm like, okay, so I need money to change the world, right? So then I want to be a millionaire, and a conscious millionaire that is, that's what I decided. I want to be a millionaire, and a millionaire that while he's building his fortune, he is building other people up. I think that's something that's completely different than from 40, 50 years ago. I think capitalism now is much more conscious in terms of that it takes in account the benefits of all stakeholders, right? So you need to benefit the earth, you need to benefit society, you need to benefit your employees. While 100 years ago, when the first millionaires were created, it was like, I want to step on all other stakeholders, I'm going to put them down to the ground, that's going to lift me up. Now it's like we all benefit, right? And it benefits every single person on the chain. So that was my mission, to become a millionaire and do that in a way that lifts every person up in the chain, every stakeholder that benefits it. And I'm like, okay, let's be a millionaire, And I think that's number one, to set a hairy, big, audacious goal, And then it's like, once you have that, okay, this is what I want, then your brain starts focusing on that, and your reticular activating systems, that what you focus on, starts really aiming for that, and you start asking the right questions, right? You start asking the right question to your subconscious, to the people around you, to the universe, whatever your belief system is, but you start pulling that and walking towards that, a little bit of both.
Right.
And So how to be a billionaire, right? I Googled that. Don't do that. That is a bad idea. And it's going to lead down some terrible paths, right?
Yes.
But anyway, I didn't know better. I was like 19, 20 when that happened. And I got sucked into a make money online scheme, a
Mhm.
pyramid scheme, MLM online. It was called Empower Network. And basically, it sold online trainings at ridiculously high prices, and then you will resell them and get like a fat commission, right? It was just a big MLM online. And
Mhm.
of course, I failed, right? And it was very expensive. So I borrowed a ton of money from my grandma and from my parents, and I just went so much into debt into the first set of investors that's going to invest in you, and that's idiots and family, right?
Yes.
Those are the first people that are going to invest in crazy dreams. So my loving family said, "Okay, here you go crazy," right? I blew it all in failing ads and failing platforms and failing courses, but then it really introduced me to the online marketing industry, right?
Yeah.
And as we were talking about before the interview, is like every experience that you have is either a teaching, like it teaches you something, or it's a success, right?
Right.
If you extract the lesson from the failure, then it's not a failure, it's a lesson. And it taught me a lot about the online world, right? So I
Mhm.
asked a very smart question. My first question was very stupid, right? How do I become a millionaire? Because you're going to get duped. But then my second question was, okay, what are the people who are actually making money doing that I'm not doing? What
Mhm.
are they doing that I'm not doing? And they were great communicators, they were great salesmen, and they were very good copywriters. And I realized, okay, if I become very good at selling through the written word, then I am going to make a lot of money, because people who can sell make a lot of money, right? So I became a copywriter. I had a career as a copywriter for 4 to 5 years,
Mhm.
and that's, I think it's a very good career. If you like writing, if you like persuasion, if you like human nature, it's a very good career, and you can raise to the ranks quickly and make a very good living. So looking back 2.5 years ago, yeah,
Mhm.
the end of like 2019, I think, yeah, kind
Mhm.
of, I don't know the dates exactly, but 2.5 years ago approximately, I was living a very comfortable life. I was living in Mazamitla, that's a town in the mountains, a magic
Mhm.
Pueblo Mágico, they call it, a magic town here in
Yes.
Mexico. So it was very beautiful.
Mhm.
And I was working very little because I had a partner who was doing most of the work. I was coaching him in the copy, and he was doing most of the work. I was giving him a good salary, but I was, keeping most as a mentor.
Mhm.
And I was watching TV series with my wife 6 hours a day, sleeping a lot, just enjoying life. And
Yes.
but something was missing. Like I went to sleep in at night, and I was like, wow, this is a great life. I'm really liking it, but something's missing. Like what's missing? And I
Right.
realized that I lost the connection to what started the journey in the first place, right? And that
Mhm.
was impact, because I was having a very comfortable life, but I knew that my potential for impact was a lot higher.
Right.
And I started this crazy dream of starting a translation company,
Mhm.
because there's another smart question that you can ask yourself: how can I serve the world at the highest level, using or leveraging at the most possible my skills, my inclinations, my knowledge, and what I want to learn, right? So basically, your inclinations is what makes you passionate, what you don't have to get paid to learn, right?
Right.
If that's
Mhm.
your inclination, something that you love to learn. And then your skills, what you're good at, or what your skills you want to develop, and your current knowledge. So how can I leverage this package that is me, that's the value that I have in my mind? How can I leverage in the best way possible to impact the most people possible?
Mhm.
And I think that's a very, very smart question to ask yourself. And the answer for me was like, well, there are very, very few people who are offering translation of very specialized marketing and copy text into Spanish. So I'm
Mhm.
going to offer that service. And then after polishing the idea, I realized, okay, these guys are going to need video editing, they're going to need design, they're going to need page building. And I offered a complete service.
Mhm.
And I sat down, and for about a month, I worked tirelessly on developing the business idea and creating the sales letter, and making a list of my 300 dream clients. And then everything was ready for the launch, right? I was so excited. And I contacted 300 of my dream clients via cold email. And I think that's lesson number 2 here is like, don't be afraid to go big. What's the worst thing that can happen, right?
Right.
They say no. They say no, you failed. You lost 6 months of your life, but you lost between commas, right? Because you actually developed a lot of skills. You developed yourself. You failed your fears. You grew as a professional and you grew as a person. So why the hell not? Fucking try it.
Right.
And I landed a client that was just fucking insane, right? Like it's unbelievable that this bigger client will look at this guy from Mexico that nobody had heard of, and just give him the trust of here, translate one of my programs. And the name of our biggest client or first client is Mind Valley. They are a company that does online education on spirituality, on personal development, etc.
Yeah.
Changing beliefs mainly. And it's just giant. It was just giant. And we started with just one program. And they told the person in charge of the program, okay, let's see what happens expanding into other languages. Here, you have $100,000. That's the most that you can lose. Well, they didn't lose 100K. They actually made $3 million from that one program the first 3 months alone. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah. Okay. You also we talked about this earlier, that the company name is infOhana. Can you give us a little bit idea of how you came up with that name?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do, so it makes more sense for the audience, if that's okay, and then we can skip that question.
Okay.
So we are a transcreation company. Why transcreation and not translation? Translation is just getting a text and translating it word for word, and then that's it, you're done. Transcreation is a much more inclusive, more deeper service, much deeper service, because you take a text and then you adapt it to a culture. So for example, if you have an idiom like, oh, it's water under the bridge, you need to take that and you cannot say, oh, and use the same words, exact words, for example, in Spanish. You need to take that and turn it into a phrase that would make sense to a Spanish speaker. And you need to make sense that phrase will make sense to someone in Spain, to someone in Colombia, and to someone in Mexico. You need to use a global Spanish that translates that phrase so that everybody understands the true meaning behind that sentence. So that is part number 1 of transcreation, an accurate translation that translates the true meaning of what is being said. Then there's a lot more. Now you have the script of the video, right? Now you need to have a voice actor record the script of the new video. You need to have someone review that script so that the intonation, the timing, and everything is right. Then you need video editors to come in and match that to the video. And then you need a graphic designer to change the graphics in the video to the new language. Then you need someone to build a page. Then you need someone to do the emails, upload the emails to the platform that will send the ads, etc. It's a big thing, right? It's a big project. And then that's what we do. We offer all of that in a single roof in Spanish, German, Portuguese, French, and Italian. From English to these languages, from these languages to any of the other languages. And it's transcreation, not just translation, but transcreation specifically for online educators, people who sell a course online. That's who we serve. And the reason why we chose infOhana as our name, it's actually our second name. Our first name is a lot longer. Some people say it's not a good name. It's called Info Product Translation Masters. That was a big URL to type and a big email to type. But we did a rebranding a few months ago, and we chose infOhana because for us, family is one of our main core values. And that's family for our people, for our team members or collaborators. They are family, and we take care of them because we want them to take care of our clients as family. And by clients, what does it mean to treat a client as family? It means I'm not here just for you to pay me to do a service and I'm gone. I treat you as a partner. Your success is my success. I go the extra mile. And if I have to delay a project because whatever you send me, there's some mistakes in it, I'm not just going to put it on the video and not care. I'm going to say, hey, this is happening. Yeah, sure. Maybe my cash flow will be hurt. Maybe the project will be delayed. There will be consequences, but I need to put your priorities at the same level as mine and treat you as a partner and not as a cash machine. And that's why we chose infOhana, because family is one of our main values. And Ohana means family, is a phrase from a very famous movie in Mexico called Lilo and Stitch. And we said, hey, if Ohana is family, then we are the family for information products, and we're infOhana.
That makes sense, doesn't it? Hey, I don't know that video that much, but I've heard about it. Yes.
Yeah.
So you started your business, if I'm not mistaken, 2.5 years ago, correct? And you've had 5 employees, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
And 2.5 years later, this is 2021, you have 90 plus employees. So can you explain your success? Because it is success what you have.
Yeah, absolutely. So from step number one, right?
Mhm.
And the step number one is go big or go home, right? Go big or go home,
Right.
and be resourceful. I think those are the lessons for the start. That's number one. I didn't have enough money to pay 5 people. So what I did was, hey, I have this project. Let's build this together. Let's go out there and get clients. I can't pay you a salary, but I can
Mhm.
pay you a very well salary and backtrack that for the months in which we didn't have money. And
Mhm.
if this works out, right? So if you don't have money, there are ways to get it. There are ways to inspire people to work with you, even if it's not a sure thing.
Right.
And if you don't pay them, I don't think you are lacking in integrity, because, hey, man, we did our absolute best to make this happen. You learn, we learn. Let's find another thing that might work. And if it works, fantastic. You will make a lot of money, right? So
Mhm.
that's number one. Be resourceful. Lack of money is not an excuse. Lack of time is not an excuse. You can find the time. Just don't do Netflix, right? So find the resources to go after your big vision, right? I
Right.
guess number one is have a big vision, right?
Right.
Number one is have a big vision. We go back to the first question, and
Mhm.
then be resourceful and find the resources to go after that big vision. Don't let excuses hold you back. And then number three is go big. So I could have started, oh, let's start small, let's do this one step at a time. Let's have some local clients, and then we can go bigger, bigger. Nah, I said, let's go freaking big. I found my 300 dream clients, and I did a list of them, and I
Mhm.
cold email all of them. Number one. And then from there, once you have that opportunity, how do you make the most of the opportunity that you created for yourself?
Right.
And in there, I think it's the mindset of putting relationships first before short-term gain, right? I'm going to give you a closer example to home. So last week we went to a restaurant, and we visit the restaurant frequently, right? We go there every 2 weeks, and the food is good. But then we were there with my parents. We were having some fun. The conversation was great. The starters were great, and
Yep.
everything was good. And then the steaks came, and the steaks were, I don't think the word is rotten, stale. The steaks were stale, right?
Okay. Yep.
So it's like, what the hell? Because somebody in that restaurant, somebody in charge, manager or the owner, looked at the steak, and they were like, okay, these steaks are stale. We can either throw them to the garbage and then give the customer a good steak, or
Mhm.
we can give the customer a stale steak and save, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks, right?
Mhm. Right.
So because they made the decision of saving 20, 30 bucks today, they lost a client that went 2 times a month there and consumed, I don't know, $100, $150 per sitting,
Yes.
So how much money did they lose on the long term because they wanted to save some money in the short term?
Right.
And I think that is number one, like relationships first. Of course, you're not going to let other people step on you. You got to have limits.
Mhm.
But when it's reasonable, like always put the relationship before your short-term interest. And in the long term, it's always going to pay back, right?
Right.
So for example, if a video comes and it's not the highest quality, then return it and do it again until it's at the highest quality. And I can give you 1,000 examples, but I think the steak is a very, very good example of putting the relationship with the client first before short-term gain. So that is number one. And then it comes to leadership, because when you put a relationship with the client first, it is
Mhm.
naturally going to bring you more work, and he's going to grow, and he's going to give you referrals, because you're somebody who puts quality and making sure that the client succeeds above your short-term interest. So that is going to naturally help you grow your business. Then it's phase number two, and it's how do you make sure you have a team to fulfill on the services that are naturally growing because of this mindset. And that's where leadership and culture comes in, right?
Right.
And for me, the keys here is to make sure that you are always stretching your people, that you're developing your people, that you're giving them big goals, the tools to handle them, and an environment that will lead them to thrive. And that's emotional intelligence, making sure
Mhm.
that conflicts are handled without escalation, without any drama.
Right.
And that is, basically making sure that each of the people in your organization has a vision, is fully connected to it, that they know what the values of the company are, and that
Mhm.
you have different activities to make sure that they live them every single day. And that's kind of a crash course in culture and leadership.
Well, I'm really happy that you mentioned all that, because the last question I had for you is, I know that we both met when we were in Toastmasters. And I know that you're very successful now as, like you say, a relationship builder and in leadership. So how did Toastmasters plant the seed for you to become better at what you do now?
Well, I think it planted many seeds. I think one of the skills that has served me the most is to be able to express myself clearly and get a point across in a way that is persuasive, that maintains attention. And I think that's something that Toastmaster teaches you. When you go out there and they're like, okay, speak about this topic in front of 10 people, and you have no idea what you're talking about, after getting some practice and after getting the structures that comes from Toastmasters, you learn about how to develop a topic, how to express your ideas clearly in a way that makes sense, in a way that is structured, in a way that is persuasive. So I think that's something that Toastmasters helped me a lot with. And then it's just the practice of leadership, especially if you're starting your own club, or if you're part of growing a club and you really commit to the vision of growing a club, then you're going to have to, and you're going to need to develop skills of selling, because you need to sell the idea of people giving you their time, of spending some time in the course, in the club, sorry. You need to develop your leadership skills, because once the people come, you need to keep them there. You need to keep them motivated. You need to tell them, okay, how does this serve you, right? I think, and that is something that I was missing from the last question, and it's the best way to get what you want is to give other people what you want. So how does me getting what I want translate that into how can I get Brent what he wants via this interview, and then I can get what I want as well and make it a win-win. And that is something that Toastmasters teaches you for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show today. I really appreciated all your wisdom, because it's a lot of wisdom you have for such a young man.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure. I'll be happy to come back anytime. And I hope the audience liked it. I hope they got some good takes away from this. And thank you for the time. It was great catching up, man. I think we hadn't spoken in like 8 or 6 years. So it was very, very good to catch up with you.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Take care of yourself, okay? And don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Exactly. Take care, man. Talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.